I'm doing an update for this radio, which I put in a few months ago, the Sony head unit. So we've been using it for a couple months, specifically more my wife, because she drives this vehicle more. And there's been a couple little quirks or little things we've figured out, or maybe not figured out, that we've found out with this stereo. And I thought I'd just do a quick update video after my installation video. I think in the installation video I promised I would do an update video, and if not, well, you're going to win anyways. So just to start it off, we really do like this stereo. It looks really well, really good. It functions smoothly, does pretty much everything that we were wanting it to do. And I've just had a lot of questions and people asking certain things, so I thought I'd try to answer those. So the first thing that we ran into was the Bluetooth phone calls sounded really noisy. Not for us, but for people calling us. So if my wife was driving, I called her, it was really difficult to understand or hear her because it sounded like she was in a wind tunnel. I couldn't really understand why, because I installed the microphone up top here, and now it was flush before, so it wasn't sticking out like this. It was pretty much flush with that, and there's the microphone holes on the bottom. So what I did was I got some foam and I popped that down and put foam on the backside to try to dampen any wind noise, because a RAV4 isn't that good for the noise. And it was still really noisy. It got better, but it was still really loud. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on. And what I did was I pulled out the mic, and as you can see, there's some other little holes up here, right at the top there. And those holes are actually used for the mic as well, not just the little ones on the bottom. I totally thought it was just the little ones on the bottom. So if you install this mic and you want to install it so it's in your headliner, not being held down by over here or something like that, you just have to make sure that it actually has those holes exposed. Or maybe you would have to try plugging those holes, but I'd probably just make sure that sticks out, that they're visible so that they don't take in unwanted noise. It kind of sucks because it looks a little funny, but nobody really notices unless you point it out. So that was one of the first things that we found. Another thing we found was that Android Auto for my wife would go blank a couple times. So she'd call me and say, yeah, Android Auto's gone black on me twice already in, half an hour, where the screen just freezes and then goes black. Now, Android Auto is pretty much fully driven off of your phone. Your radio just mirrors, or not mirrors, but it just displays the information that's on your phone. So I told her, just power your phone completely off, because she doesn't like to turn her phone off. I said, just do a reset, power it off, power it back on, and try it. She does that, and it pretty much works every time. So if you're finding that your Android Auto's acting a little glitchy, make sure that it's the most current available, whatever you want to call it, update. And then also maybe try resetting your phone. Now, I'm not sure if doing a stereo upgrade or update will solve that problem from happening anymore, but I haven't done that yet. And I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll do the update and see if that helps at all. Now, another thing that somebody asked, which was a good question, was your radio stations down here, do they display AM and FM no matter what screen you're in? Or no matter if you're on AM or FM. So right now I'm on AM, it only shows AM. If I switch to FM, it'll only show FM. So it doesn't show multiple ones, which is a little bit picky, but that's kind of one thing to think of. Another thing is it likes to show what the station was playing, and then it saves it. It continues to show that in the favorites instead of just showing the numbers. So that's kind of frustrating. I haven't really figured out how to turn it off, but I haven't really tried yet. There might be a way, and again, if I do an update, maybe that will fix that issue. Another thing about Android Auto is when I'm in Android Auto, if I want to change the radio stations, I can by just pressing one of these forward and back buttons. It'll change to the next favorite. But it doesn't show me which favorite I switch to in any way. It would be really nice knowing what station I was on, and if I switch it, what station I'm going to. So I'm kind of trying to go by memory and guessing when I change that. So that's kind of frustrating. But again, just a little quirk, but maybe again, if I do an update, that might get fixed. The rear backup camera works really well. One thing that I noticed, though, was that the camera that I got sorry, the beeping is not. There we go. The camera that I got isn't that fisheyed, so the angle doesn't really show cross traffic coming from the side that well. Now, it also has to do something with the position of the camera, which is right in the rear bumper of my car. But if you're getting a camera, I would definitely make sure you get one that's as fisheyed as possible, meaning it looks as wide of an angle view as possible. These lines are built into the stereo, not the camera. The camera lines were better, but I can't turn the lines off on this stereo, so I have to live with those ones. Now, one of the biggest quirks that my wife has, informed me about is the volume of the phone call when the phone call comes in. Most OEM systems, and I'm guessing a lot of aftermarket systems, you have two volume adjustments, one for your phone and one for the stereo or music. So if you're listening to music really loud and a phone call comes in at the same loudness or volume level, it can be really, like, the ring is like, wow, that's ear piercing, and you have to crank it down, or if you answer it, then the person, it sounds like they're like screaming in your ear. Well, sometimes people like to listen to music loud, but you generally don't want to listen to somebody like screaming over the radio when you're trying to have a conversation with them. So most OEM stereos, you can adjust the volume for your phone calls, and then when you go back to listen to your stereo, it'll go back to whatever volume you were listening to your stereo at. This one doesn't. So if you're listening to even if you have the stereo down fairly low, a phone call comes in, the phone call ring can be really loud. My wife hates that because we have like a 4-month-old baby who might be asleep, so she's listening to music, but nice calm music, really on a lower setting, and then I try to call her and the ringtone is just like really loud. So that's one thing that I'm hoping gets fixed, or we're able to figure out how to change the ringtone so it's not as like ear piercing. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Well, this trim bezel we got, or the bezel like up here for the stereo to go in, came with a secondary piece to make it fit nicely. Well, this piece here is like kind of there popping out. It's kind of hard to see. And then you can kind of push it back in. So I have to take the stereo out to glue that. If you're installing one, I would definitely recommend gluing that in place before you install the radio so it doesn't pop out. Somebody else asked if it had XM radio. No, it does not have XM. Another person asked, can I look at YouTube or can I play videos on it? Not that I'm aware of. Maybe if you figured out how to like use the backup camera input and put a switch in, then you could probably play it. But I don't even know if the quality would be that great. And there's no apps on Android Auto or Apple CarPlay that lets you play videos or anything, so it doesn't really function that way. Another thing is that you can only have the rear backup camera. It doesn't have the input for the front camera or side cameras either. So the stereo, it's a Android Auto or Apple CarPlay stereo that has a lot of functions. Does it, have all those crazy, a lot of features that some stereos have? No, it's definitely missing some, which is why it's so inexpensive compared to some other ones that are twice the price. It does everything that we want it to. The knob and everything works great. The forward back button's really nice, especially when you're in Android Auto. You can switch stereo. The home button works really well. It's nice because at nighttime these glow like white, and so it looks really classy. It's kind of hard to see because I have to flash on, but maybe if I come to the side there, you can kind of see how they glow kind of white like that. So they look really nice, and Android Auto works really well. We don't have Apple phones, so I'm not sure about Apple CarPlay, but I'm assuming it works really well as well. My sister actually got the same stereo in her car after she saw ours, and she's really liking it, with some of the same kind of little complaints. But like I said, nothing's a deal breaker, and after this point, if I could go back, would I still install this stereo? Yes, I would. It's definitely useful. The Bluetooth's useful. The Bluetooth phone calls are very clear and crisp, and all of that works really well. So overall, we're very happy with the outcome of how it all functions. And like I was saying before, I'm going to try doing the update for the stereo, and it might help with some of the things. I'm not sure, but it's worth a try. Maybe I'll do a bit of research to see if anybody else has done it and had problems. I think I've read somewhere and bricked their stereo somehow. But at the same time, I still have warranty on it, so maybe now's the best time to do that. So yeah, right now, everything, we're very happy with it. And I'm going to do the update, see if that fixes any of these little quirks. But otherwise, that's really all that we could think of. If you have any questions or maybe comments or things that you found with the stereo that you think other people might be interested in knowing about, please leave a comment below, and either someone will benefit from that, from your comment or from your input, or if you have a question, maybe myself or somebody else can answer your question regarding the stereo. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And if I do the update and find any more interesting things, then I will do another review video. I hope this was all very helpful for you.